Hey, it's Jeremy from LATT SEO. In this video, I'm walking through exactly what I would do to help Imagineering finishing technologies optimize their site better by looking at the site, figuring out content or keywords that should be optimized better, and then walking through exactly what can be done to help them optimize that better. And also looking at some examples of what this looks like and when this is done correctly, the types of results that are possible. And to show those first, one of the things I talked about in my video yesterday actually is results from one of my clients, B2B, and part of what we focused on is ranking the website for keywords and phrases that make sense. And here you can see a request a quote form from NASA. They found them through Google search. And then we have also leads from Conagra, which is a $12.3 billion company. And then a lead from SpaceX requesting a quote as well. And again, this is a B2B client of mine, and we're focusing on ranking for keywords and phrases that make sense to target bulk and high quality, high ticket buyers. So that being said, what I would do in this case for Imagineering is looking at to see first what is going on with the site, what they're ranking for, and then looking to optimize some of these pages in more detail for them. So first thing to do is just look and see quickly. It looks like they do have a list of services they offer. And if we look at dry film, lubricant, coating, it's got information here. I would also dig into the technicals here. So the first thing to do from this perspective is just look and see, is this an H1? And what I'm doing is just looking to see, if you haven't seen any of my videos, essentially what I like to do is look at and find the code types of the different content on the site. And the reason for this is search engines look for different elements in the code to determine whether or not a page is set up and optimized correctly for a keyword or phrase. And you can kind of see here, it's not zooming in the code, but you can see just a small H1 here above my video. And at the top of the screen, actually, as I hover over, you can see that this shows an H1 as well. Not sure what's going on with all these Facebook and LinkedIn icons, but this part is correct. So it is good to have an H1 here. Now the optimization itself may be something to change here, but we can look at that in more detail. Next thing, then we have some content, quote form. I like the contrast and color there. And then we get into this section here, and this is an H2, which is good. Again, I've talked multiple times about how to structure content when you're optimizing it on your website. And the hierarchy of H1s, H2s, H3s should always be in order. So that is correct. Now let me refresh this page and see if, yeah, the Facebook and LinkedIn icons have reset. So it must have just been something with when I was adding the code items there. And then we have information about a little bit about the process. And then this is huge opportunity from content, as I'm seeing right here, industries and industry standards. And what I mean by this is with the client I'm working with to get leads from NASA and SpaceX, one of the processes we're working on is building content around industries that we serve and can help. And having content about how your specific service or product can help and has helped or works with these different either industries or applications is something that is extremely beneficial, because somebody who is looking specifically for how your product can work in their application or their industry is much more likely to trust that you understand and you can be an effective solution for them. So this is absolutely something I would highly recommend, building out content for all of this as well. Now, we can also build content about substrates, in this case, how this works well with aluminum, titanium, etc., and build specific pages about each of the substrates potentially, depending on how all of these other services would work with them as well. But something to think about there from that perspective. Now, next thing to look at then would be just in general, how is the site from an SEO perspective? So what let's do here is I'll take the URL, go to Ahrefs here, and just get an idea as to domain strength, keywords, things like that. So from a backlink perspective, DR17, DR stands for domain rating. It's on a 0 to 100 scale. Basically lets us know how strong or how authoritative a website is. And this is always relative to the competitors or the other websites we want to rank against. So in this case, 17 may be relatively weak if we're up against 50s, 60s, 70s. It may be strong if we're up against 10s, for example. So we can look at this in more detail here in a second. Search, then, it looks like we have 162 organic keywords we're ranking for each month, 120 visitors to the site each month. So nothing crazy there. But this data is often underreported. And if it's 120 highly targeted, relevant prospects to the site looking for the keywords that or services that you are ranking for, then that may not be a bad number. Again, it's always relative to what we're focusing on. So if we look at keywords here, we can start to see what they're ranking for and some potential for opportunities. So as we dig into this, we have brand name search, which is good, although they're number 14 for that. So there is some competition there for that key phrase. Coding services, that is a potential there. Passivation of stainless steel, looks like they lost that ranking. Dry film lubricant here, 600 searches per month, and they recently lost that one, but they have a specific page that is optimized for this. So I want to dig into that one in more detail. Let's also look at keyword opportunities here. So this chart now shows any keyword or phrase in Ahrefs that is optimized for, or contains dry film lubricant. And we now have a list of 143 different keywords. Search volume is 2,500 per month for this group and 4,000 searches per month globally. And what this then provides us is a list of keywords or phrases we can use to work into our content to better optimize it so we can rank for and potentially get traffic from these 2,500 people in the US looking for these specific products or services every single month. And some of these don't make sense to focus on, very likely, whether it be a specific brand or a competitor type, things like that, or if it's a type of service or type of the product that you don't have, then you don't need to include that content. But even still, there's probably a large selection here that would make sense for content on this page. So next thing to do then is, from a content perspective, is looking at and seeing what can be done from an optimization perspective and why. If we look at, let's go back to the keyword here and see who's ranking. So we have at number 1 is a DR25. And again, I believe they were 17. Let's go back here. So we will open this up in a new tab and go over here. So this is the key phrase here. And if we look at, the DR17 here, and if we go back to the keywords here for dry film lubricant, and we look at the search results. So 25, 53, 42, 84, 57, 37, 61, 52. So they would actually be the weakest out of all of these in terms of domain rating, at least. But the lowest domain rating is ranked number 1. So there's something to be said about that. And this one you can see here, the title is optimized with dry film lubricant. And this one is dry film lubricant coating services. So they have it very, very similarly optimized. It is the first key phrase on that within that title. So that is set up in a way I would recommend. And the other thing here is looking at the content then. We look at this page, reduce friction with a dry film lubricant. What is, how does it work? When to use? So this content, as a quick side-by-side comparison, from a search perspective, if you were to look at this page compared to, this page in terms of content compared to this page, and this has all this additional information in here, important considerations. So from a purely content perspective, the other page that's ranking number 1 has way more content and way more information. It also includes questions and answers. And the reason why questions and answers are so important, and I've talked about this before as well, is as we look at, this may not have a ton of data in here. We only have 4 questions here. But questions are extremely important for helping you rank for more keywords and phrases, but also helping you rank in AI. And one of the structures for doing this correctly is optimizing your page individually with question and answer style content. What that means is we have a question here: what is dry film lubricant? And then a dry lubricant, also known as a solid film lubricant, uses dry substance. So it asks a question, immediately answers. Same thing here. How does dry lubrication reduce friction? This one actually could probably be a little bit better. And what I mean by that is we want to have a structured format so that AI can very quickly understand that this page solves the answer, or answers the question, I should say, to the query. And what this does then is makes it easier for us to rank in AI overviews and within language models as well. So huge opportunity there from that perspective. So what I want to do is look at content on this page. This is Neuron Writer here. And what I did was just typed in the key phrase dry film lubricant. And what this is doing now is looking at the top 9, in this case, ranking websites on Google for this key phrase. And what I'll do here is click next. So this will load up then the suggested recommended length of content, the headings we need, competitor content, score, all that type of stuff. And give us a list of, let me remove my video, give us a list of the keywords and phrases that are recommended within this content, as well as recommended headings, H1s, H2s, H3s, and lets us know what should be done from an optimization perspective to get us in the ballpark to rank for this keyword. So first thing to do then would be to take this content here. So I'll just take this page and I will copy all of this. We don't need the footer info or the nav or header info, even though that is counted and looked at and read by search engines. But for this case, we will just put all of this in here. And just taking the existing content, as you can see here, it's a 42 on a content score, and the top one in Google is 85. So we have a massive gap there. And if we then go back to this page here and do a view page source, I need to get the title and the description so we can see the current title here and add this in here. Current title and the description is right here. So then we will go into here, paste this in here, and this gives us the current title and description. And it has these green, it highlights these items here in green when they are shown in with the word or phrase within the title or description here. So these are actually okay from this perspective. Could probably be optimized a little bit better, but we will just put those in there. And that actually jumps up the score a little bit, which is nice. But this could be significantly improved. And one of the ways to do that would be working in some of these other keywords and phrases into the content itself and increasing the length of the content as well. So there are a number of ways to do this. One would be to use your resources inside your company, whether it be yourself or somebody on the team, to write this content. The other would be to use something like AI to either write an outline for you that you could then personally write, or write the content and then you manually edit it and update it as well. So if we look here, we can actually look at an outline to see what competitors are doing and what's recommended from that perspective. The H1s, H2s, they have all of that information. And just like I showed a couple minutes ago, this has all of for Dicronite, I think that's how you pronounce them, all of the information on their site from an optimization perspective. So then you can get an idea as to what Google is currently ranking for this keyword and get an idea how to reverse engineer what should be done from an optimization perspective. Now, if you wanted to, in this tool, there are AI writing credits and stuff you can buy as well. I usually use ChatGPT to build an outline and then manually edit and update as needed. So what I will do is actually just walk through the process here. And so we need an article about dry film lubricant. So we'll go to GPT here and write me an article about dry film lubricant. And then I'll include all this relevant information. So 695 words is what we need. I'll just say 700. It should be 700 words long. And let's also do this then. So here are the recommended each ones. Here are the recommended H2, H3. Copy all of these. Here are the recommended keywords and phrases to use within the content. Use them naturally and out the content read professionally for a well-educated audience. So then we'll go to article, copy, and I'll copy this terms with suggested uses. So what that means is, and the number of times. Suggested use is how many times the word should appear. So for example, dry film lubricant should appear in the content between 1 and 8 times. If you have less than 1, you're under optimized. And if you have it more than 8, you're very likely over optimized for that term. Okay, now we have all of that in there. And then I do have some other prompts I've used before that basically say we need certain things to happen. We don't want, it also depends on the brand. So in this case, actually, we will go back here and we just copy the full brand name. So let's go here. This content is for the company home. Do not mention any other brands or other companies within the content. Structure the content so it reads well. Include necessary questions and answers and write it in a structured format to rank well, organic search, and an AI LLM is a large language model. All right, and then I think I included the recommended length. Yeah, it should be 700 words long. Write the 700 word long content. And then while this goes, or after this goes, I should say, we can just replace this. So I'll save this. This is a 62. Save this. And I'm not sure why this is, lubricant is not a good H1 here. So this is where manual editing comes into play also. But it does have dry film lubricant here. I'm curious if this will be, actually, you know what? Give me the HTML output of the article. And then I'll be able to copy this into within the code here instead. That's what I want to do, because sometimes what will happen is it'll give H2s and H3s instead of H1, H2, and then it makes it more difficult for us to see what's going on. So it's still working here. So the biggest things, and to quickly summarize some of what I've talked about, the looking at and understanding how your page should be optimized from a content perspective. The two things. First is having this content on your site gives you a better chance to rank for the keywords and phrases that are within the content. Secondly, we don't actually necessarily have to have all of this content right here so that it reads like an essay initially, especially if it's on a product or service page. You can have information at the top of more about your company and about the product or service, and have it focused more on conversion instead of just on content. But what we still need to do is have this content on the page. It can be further down on the page though. So that would be my recommendation from that perspective. And again, you can still rank extremely well for the keywords and phrases you want to rank for if that content is lower on the page. Okay, now we have the HTML. Again, I'll have to update this H1. This is not a good H1 here. And okay, this looks broken. This is terrible. H1, H2 industry. This output needs work. Why are you including multiple H1s? Please only use one H1 in this content. You multiple H2, H3s. Using structured hierarchy of those elements. This is the joy of working with a large language model, but that's just part of the process if you're going to build content this way, which is why if you are an expert in your product or with your products or services, building an outline instead and writing this content yourself would likely be more beneficial and provide a more quality output of content. But again, you could use AI to build you an outline and then manually write the content, and you would avoid this step here. Let's look at, while that's going, let's do one more thing here and look at a couple other keyword opportunities here for them, just to see what else they could potentially rank for and what else is going on from an optimization perspective. Phosphate coating, there's another good one. And the very similar process here as we're looking at. And this is, yeah, same structure page, industry served. So again, this could be something you can have a military or defense page and talk about all of the services you have for that industry as well. And that would be something that would very likely help generate leads from that type of industry. Okay, this is a little bit better. Here we go, much better. So I will just copy, once this is, should be done here in 30 seconds or so. And I would assume the 62 here should jump up significantly if we have all of the terms here optimized correctly and we have more content on the page. But okay, while that's going, let's go back to here and see paint coating, conversion coating. Actually, I wonder if passivation of stainless steel. So this seems like more of a how-to. This is more of a navigational type search. The other process I would walk through and look through is the types of content. So yeah, it looks like passivation is informational. So if we do an intent search here for commercial or transactional, we can get keywords or phrases that are more likely to convert as well. And there, now we get to the ones we were looking at: coating, dry film, nickel plating near me. So if there is any local search, that would be another optimization strategy to work for, is some of this local, which it looks like some of these have some decent search volume there. All right, this is now done. So let's take all of this and the H1, copy this, go back to here. Now let's go to the code and see what happens here. So we're 62, 96. That's awesome. And hold on a second. Oh, wait, let me delete the old stuff here. I don't know if we'll see if that. All right, 96. Let's see when this updates, if it changes. Okay, so we're 96. Terms match 95%. We're actually over on the length here a little bit, but you can see optimization. We have a lot of almost every single one of the terms in here now. All the extended terms, just about. And if we look at the headings, we have the main ones. We care mostly about ranking for dry film lubricant here. H2s, it actually does not have a dry film lubricant H2, but sometimes I actually would prefer to not do that because we don't want to over optimize. But if we, let's say, coating, dry film lubricant, I'm just kind of reading through here, cleaning this up a little bit. Application from surface prep to film performance. Let's do a quick test here. How dry film to use dry fill lubricant. I'm not even sure if that would make sense, but let's see if this changes the 96, 97, now that we got that in H2. So I would recommend, if you're going to do that, use it just once in H2 or in H3, but otherwise you can keep it out as well if it doesn't make sense from a grammatical perspective. But either way, that is what I would do from a content perspective. And then I would look through this content, make sure it reads well and is set up correctly for your industry, and then include internal links in here as well. That's a different process that I would work through, but like I've mentioned on the site itself, every single time you would mention any of these industries, linking to it so that somebody on this page looking for this service can get to the industry and vice versa. And that would be my recommended strategy for optimizing a site like Imagineering Finishing Technologies here to help them rank better and start to generate significant high dollar value leads for them based on what they provide. Hopefully you got some value from this video. If you did, subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. And I plan to continue posting more videos like this, talking about B2B SEO strategies, helping industrial manufacturing style companies generate better results from SEO, rank better in organic and in AI, and generate more revenue from your organic efforts. And that's it. I'll see you in the next one.